First, coming up, some news coming in. The Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel has also equated Veer Savarkar with Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Baghel says that Savarkar had proposed a two-nation theory. In fact, Jinnah had supported this proposal. They tried their best that the British should not leave the country. Let's listen into Bhupesh Baghel and then get a context to it.
उन्होंने अध्यक्षता किया। उस समय उन्होंने कहा कि दो राष्ट्र का उन्होंने स्वीकार किया और वहीं मोहम्मद जिन्ना ने उसे 1937 में उसको स्वीकार किया। तो दो राष्ट्र के जो सिद्धांत है उसको सावरकर ने प्रस्तावित किया और उसका समर्थन जिन्ना ने किया। तो विभाजनकारी तो ये लोग हैं। देश की आजादी में उनकी भूमिका क्या रही? 1925 में बन गया था ये आरएसएस, विश्व हिंदू परिषद। इनके तमाम नेताओं को समय बयान देखी। 1942 में वो कहते हैं कि इसमें शामिल नहीं होना है, कैसे दबाया जाए। श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी जी वायसराय को चिट्ठी लिखते हैं कि ये तो अंग्रेज जाए ही मत, और अभी भी अंग्रेजों की आलोचना नहीं करते, ये गांधी की आलोचना करते हैं। अंग्रेजों के खिलाफ एक शब्द भी ये बयान दिए हो तो बताइए।
And let me go across to my colleague Manoj Sharma joining us from Bhopal. Manoj, you know, we've often seen the run-in between the BJP and the Congress party, and of course the Congress accusing the BJP and Veer Savarkar of actually apologizing to the British, and that's the legacy of the BJP, which I guess the Congress party is talking about. But today when we are seeing BJP, remember today as the horrors of partition there, this comment of Bhupesh Baghel is just adding fat into the fire.
Yeah, you are absolutely right, because what is now he has gone to the extent of saying that this two-nation theory, it was propagated by Savarkar. It was proposed by Savarkar, then it was supported by Jinnah in 1937. And then he is also saying that this RSS and BJP, they are always criticizing Gandhi, but they are not criticizing the British. They are also, you know, RSS was founded in 1925. But what was its role in 1942 Quit India movement? These are all questions which have been raised by Bhupesh Baghel, and you can say he is very, very critical about the role of RSS in the freedom struggle.
That's right. But if we talk about the politics between the BJP and the Congress party over there are always going to be multiple versions. I'm sure you also must be seeing the protests, for example, which are taking place in the national capital. BJP president joined in. But politically speaking, Manoj, how do you think the BJP, what is their strategy? Okay, I'm just going to come back to you, Manoj. I'm sorry. Let me just get in a word from Mr. Rashid also joining us. Mr. Alvi, we just heard what Bhupesh Baghel had to say. Is this correct to say so? Isn't it carrying a bit too far? I mean, you know, you burnt your fingers earlier by talking about Jinnah and his supporters with the BJP, but now to kind of compare Savarkar with Jinnah, do you think this is something which could boomerang on the Congress?
Yeah, definitely. It is the part of history. How can you forget it? It was Savarkar who gave first of all two nations theory. Jinnah had adopted later on. Jinnah, he was doing his politics in Gujarat, and then he had left this country, had gone back to London, he had started his practice, and only after that he came back, and then he gave slogan Pakistan. So it is a part of history. How can you deny it? You can't. Go through history.
You know,
so it is the fact.
Jinnah is often called the father of Pakistan, and you call someone your own. You may have a political difference with him, but someone like a Savarkar being compared to Jinnah, don't you think this, politically speaking, this is something which could boomerang?
BJP leaders can criticize Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. They can give a statement against Rajiv Gandhi, but you can't speak against Savarkar. How can it be? Savarkar had filed so many mercy petitions. And have you gone through those petitions? And later on, You go through Justice Kapoor Commission. Justice Kapoor Commission says that he was involved in conspiracy of assassination of Mahatma Gandhi.
Mm-hmm.
It is a part of history. Whether you want to go through it or not, it is up to you. But you can't deny it.
Okay, I'm also going to get in a BJP version. Mr. R.P. Singh is also joining us. Mr. R.P. Singh, I've been seeing tweets also on the social media timeline where you talked about how many you know went through the horrors of partition. But now there seems to be another controversy which is brewing, and Mr. Rashid Alvi says that this is what has been documented in history. That Veer Savarkar, along with Jinnah, actually had proposed a two-nation idea. So to accuse the Congress party, to accuse Jawaharlal Nehru of getting it all wrong is absolutely unfair.
हिंदी का शब्द है बकवास. I'm sorry to use this harsh word, but this is bakwas. I mean, they're just using false narrative of history. The fact is that it was only Jinnah who started the two-nation theory, and then Nehru got into that trap of two-nation theory. And who else has suffered more than we Punjabis and Sikhs? It was only Punjab which was well, no other part of the country. It was more than 10 lakh Sikhs and Hindus, Punjabi Hindus who were killed and butchered by the Pakistanis. One of my friends, Veer Bahadur Singh, is still alive, 95 years of age. He narrates his story. He says that he has to kill 24 women from his family because he couldn't have seen them being raped by the Muslims and the Pakistanis. So that's how the history is. But they can keep.
But you know, Jawaharlal Nehru is a former prime minister of a country. That's one. Second, Mr. Singh, he's been an integral part of a freedom struggle. To omit him from, say, the ads we came out from the Karnataka state government, isn't that being a little bit unfair? You may disagree with someone, but how can you completely ignore their contribution? After all, that's exactly what the Congress party, you're accusing the Congress party of, as far as Veer Savarkar goes.
Hear me?
Go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. If Congress claims the legacy of Nehru, then they should complain. They should claim the complete legacy of Nehru. It's not that half legacy of Nehru can be claimed. The full legacy is that Nehru was alone responsible for the partition of this country. It was he who was more keen to be the prime minister, first prime minister of this country, and then that's the partition happened. And let me also tell today that it was not only the Congress which got us independence, not this Congress at all, and not that Congress also. There are many more segments of society which fought for independence. The INA was not part of Congress. The Revolutionary Brigade of Punjab, the Bhagat Singh Brigade of Punjab, was not part of Congress. The Kuka movement of the country, where 68 Namdaris were blown by the guns, but not part of the Congress. So yes, Congress played a role, but not that they had the complete. They played a complete role, but they reaped the fruit. They reaped the fruit of the independence and made the country suffer.
No. Reap the fruit of independence. Kya hota, Mr. Singh? I mean, people, if you vote for you, then you come to power. No one is taking it away. But my point is different. My point over here, Mr. Singh, is that you say that what the Congress is saying is bakwas, to use your words. They say it's documented in history. If you look at the letters he wrote to the British at that point of time, therefore to absolve Savarkar completely is actually unfair and incorrect, historically speaking. That's what the Congress is saying. Your reaction to that?
Okay, no.
Okay.
Let's have. I'll appreciate a fair debate by you. Call one of the Congress historians, and I'll send my part of the person.
अभी तो आप बोलिए ना, Mr. Singh, you tell me. I'm listening to you.
अभी बता रहा हूँ. और the fact है कि when did Savarkar ask for two nations? It was only Jinnah who started two-nation theory way back in 1930. And that led to the problem, and Congress got into the trap of two-nation theory. And this country was divided in the name of Hindu-Muslims. What happened? Did it really got divided in the name of Hindu-Muslims? No. Nehru showed with Liaquat Ali saying that there will be no problems of Hindus in Pakistan, no problems to Muslims in India. Did it happen? Did it happen in word and did it happen in letter and spirit? No.
So you're saying that the point which has been pushed forward by the Chhattisgarh Chief Minister is completely incorrect?
It's totally false. It's a bogey being built up by Congress to deflect people's attention from the pain of the partition which they suffered.
Okay.
My family members have suffered the pain of the partition.
Fair enough.
We
Fair enough, Mr.
okay,
Singh. We
give
are
me a
going to
second,
leave
give
this
me.
for now because